Buffalo Bills did return to practice today as they do get ready to head down to Pittsburgh against the Steelers on Sunday. We will get the official injury report later this afternoon, but we did hear from head coach Sean McDermott before practice began. He did say 5 players would not practice today, that being Terrell Bernard, Spencer Brown, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, and Deion Dawkins. Dawkins, who is in concussion protocol, as is cornerback Maxwell Harrison. However, he is limited along with Fedarian Mathis. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. The Bills also announced some roster moves before practice today. As they bring in Brandon Cooks yesterday, they release wide receiver Elijah Moore today. Stay tuned for more on the Bills. Sal Capaccio is going to join the show at 5 p.m. Other notes in the NFL, Patriots left tackle Will Campbell is being placed on IR. He's going to be out at least the next 4 weeks with a knee injury. Some notes for tomorrow's games. The Packers have wide receiver Matthew Golden as questionable. They're going to take on Detroit, while the Chiefs have ruled out guard Trey Smith and tight end Noah Gray for their game against Dallas. Dallas looks to have George Pickens. He had no injury designation today. And then former Bills corner Kyrie Elam is signing with the Tennessee Titans. To the Sabres, it is game night tonight. They are at Pittsburgh, 6 p.m. pregame for a 7 p.m. start. No Josh Norris tonight, though. He hopes to make his return this weekend. And all signs are pointing to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen getting the start in net. Paul Hamilton's going to join the show right at the start of pregame at 6. And then a packed night tonight in the NHL. Just Edmonton and the Kings are not in action, but some of the notable games including at 7, the Red Wings host Nashville, and the Rangers are down in Raleigh against the Hurricanes. 9:30, Montreal's out in Utah versus the Mammoth. Then 3 games at 10 to wrap up your evening. The Ducks host Vancouver, Ottawa at Las Vegas, and Dallas there in Seattle versus the Kraken. And then some early afternoon college hoops. UB men, they are in a tight contest with Bucknell. They do trail that game 62-58 with just about under 8 minutes to go in the second half. The rest of that game can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+. Watch your local NFL games all season long, kicking off with the juicy Week 13 matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
Monday, Tuesday, hump day is halfway. It's Mike Schopp.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
And the Bulldog.
Hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
On WGR.
Hump day!
Sports Radio 550.
Well, maybe. I want to say, hopefully it isn't your hump day. You out there in your car.
Right.
Because, come on.
Today is our Friday.
We're used to working on Friday this week, but the Sabres, for all their mistakes and 7:30 starts,
They very neatly
are playing at 4.
stepped up right into our window.
Which, what would be better than 4? I don't think there is better than 4.
No, I
for us.
agree. I agree, because even 3 o'clock could end at 5:30, as early as 5:30, and that could compel the boss to say, "Get in there and talk about the Steelers game for a little while," or something, whatever. 4 is the perfect
4 is great.
window for us. Someone else, Brian, I assume, is going to handle pregame. Or Pat, someone will handle pregame like they do on weekends when we're not here, and the game will end, and it'll be, nighttime.
Oh,
It's great.
Friday night time.
Yeah.
Shouldn't brag. Aaron Rodgers not practicing today. Odds he plays? Do you have a gut instinct on this? Do you want we do want Aaron Rodgers to play in this game, don't we? Or do we want the wild card rematch, Allen and Mason Rudolph?
I don't.
You want to watch?
I think it's fun. I'm glad you asked this, because I guess I haven't thought about it at all, because I'm just assuming he'll play. Because it seemed like he was close, like all week he was going to play in Chicago. He's got to play in Chicago. He loves playing. There's no way he's not playing in Chicago. And then Sunday morning, wasn't it? Like suddenly he's not playing. But I feel like if he was I'm assuming he was close to playing in Chicago, that he would just play this game.
Well, what's the number one issue or subject when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, though? It's not preparation or it's drama. It's pay attention to me.
Okay.
I'm not at practice.
I see.
Guess what?
Yeah.
I fell for it, too. You and I both picked Pittsburgh at the Bears, right? I did. You didn't?
I did not, no.
I had the Steelers plus 2.5, and they did not cover that game. But I was assuming Rodgers would play as well.
Yeah.
And so Andrew says he's not practicing today. Mike Tomlin Mike Tomlin talked mostly like Rodgers was in, but this could all be a ruse. Yeah. This could all be a big game.
I think it might say a lot. Certainly Rodgers' ceiling is, way higher. But, I mean, I don't know what kind of chances I would put on him hitting it because mostly I think I don't care if he plays. I don't think it matters.
Really?
I think he's Mason Rudolph at this point. I don't know. The ball is just getting out of there, and he doesn't want to get hit. And so, I don't know. I'm not – the way their offense has functioned all year with him at the helm mostly doesn't really worry me.
Does this game worry you at all, or no?
Yeah.
But not because of who the quarterback is?
Not because of him, no. Seeing today, I was not expecting Spencer Brown to be available in this game. There was almost no doubt about that in my mind. I hadn't thought a lot about Deion Dawkins having left the game, at least at one point, with a concussion, and he still now is in the protocol and not practicing today. That is something that gives me some pause.
Wow.
After what last week looked like, with both of those guys out there, again, Brown was, I think hampered by an injury. Maybe Dawkins was too by the time he got back in the game. As he obviously has a concussion now. He cleared the protocol and went back in, cleared whatever testing during the game and went back in. But they
usually do.
Right.
Whatever that testing is, it doesn't seem that hard.
I think they usually do too. Hairston did not clear the protocol during the game, but yet he's on the field this week in a limited fashion. But in the game on Thursday, he left and never came back. So whatever went in the blue tent, they had to take him to the locker room, and that was the end of his night. But anyway, he's limited. Dawkins isn't available, at least today. And with the way that they had trouble I don't think T.J. Watt, even he's not either of these guys in Houston right now. Those guys, to me, are younger, just better, more dangerous players than Watt is. But he still is a dude capable of making a couple of plays on you. And if he's playing against Tylen Grable and Ryan Vandermark, that could be really scary.
There's no hyphen like your guy, Van Pran Granger.
Yeah, right.
But there's still a Van.
That's right.
How do you feel about the Bills on the road these days?
Well,
these losses...
It's hard to feel good.
It is hard to feel good because that is what the playoffs, of course, are stacking up to be. You're going somewhere unless too strong, a miracle?
Miracle might be a little strong, but I'm not... I'm definitely expecting them to be a wild card team at this point.
So that's probably at least 2 road wins, not counting the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Neutral.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on the road? Like, to me, I was on with Filipponi today in Pittsburgh. It was recorded. If you want to hear it, you got to find his show on Friday in the first hour because they have the day off, but he just sort of taped some stuff.
All right.
But Atlanta, Miami, Houston, all road games, all for the offense, mostly a disaster.
Yeah, horrendous games.
Allen getting pounded the whole night or day, whatever. They did win in Carolina very easily.
And at the Jets. Also
before that,
easily.
At the Jets.
Yep.
But what are they on the road of late? 1-3 in their last 4. Atlanta, Carolina was an easy win, Miami, and then Houston. Is that a thing for you? Like, so we maybe are taking some solace in they might not have to go to Arrowhead. They might not have to go to they might have to go to Baltimore, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not sort of the daunting road possibilities there. Unless, say what you want. This is debatable. Denver, New England, Indianapolis could all be.
Yeah, I said at one point in yesterday's show, somewhat matter-of-factly, I'm not trying to be hot takey guy, but maybe it is a hot take. I would rather go play on the road in Denver, in New England, in Indianapolis than play a home game against either the Chiefs or the Ravens.
But what if you don't have I don't want to get hot takey
I'm
myself.
not going to be able to pick those opponents, but it's like the top doesn't scare me. Baltimore. If I got to go to Baltimore, they end up being the 4 and I'm the 5. That's about as bad as I think you can do.
I don't know. You can maybe help me, but think of that. Close your eyes and picture the Houston game. All right, now instead I'm in Denver with those guys. That's better. Maybe I get more stops, although Houston scored 23 points. But I don't know if the Colts are different for this or even the Patriots, but I'm not blocking Denver, I think, with this team. Andrew asked me, what is a bigger concern about the Bills' offense? And, have at it here. Is it receivers getting open or pass protection? Protecting Josh. I said the line. Because these games have looked like they can't hold up. Allen is just constantly in a blender.
Yeah.
And are the Bills really going to go to Denver and master that? I don't know. That's a ways off. That's not this week. If it ever happens, even that could be 2 months away. But Denver, who did I just watch them play? And the Benito and the other guy were just constantly wrecking the offense. What game was that? They were wrecking the offense. Kansas City.
Was the Chief game? Yeah.
So I don't know. That is what could be out there, and maybe we like that because it's not the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the idiot that thought they would handle the Houston's guys. So I might be guilty. Really roll it all the way back. What is saying I'd rather play those teams on the road than host Kansas City or Baltimore? It's based on what I still think is going to be right, but it starts with what my preconceived ideas were about these teams and those teams at the top. So I don't want to assume that my line is going to be that way every time they're faced with a real challenge. I was really shocked that it went as badly as it went in Houston. And then also shocked that they didn't have any kind of a reasonable pivot to something else. And I just can't believe that they'll go through the rest of this season and get to potentially that kind of a matchup and just try to block with 5 guys again. All the time, like they did against Houston. So I want to have some faith that they'll figure out a pivot and assuming health, that those guys will play better. Those Brown and Dawkins are excellent players. They had a terrible night, and Brown was, again, hindered. So I'm still more, I would say, my answer to your question that Andrew posed to you would be I'm still more worried about the downfield than I am up front. And I might be mistaken in doing that, but I think recently, and you're smart to point out, it's not just this Houston game, but to me, Atlanta was them not being able to handle the blitz, which the result was the same. Allen in a blender, I like, is a good image. It's just spinning around and just not knowing where to go.
Let's leave the blades out of it.
Right, but that wasn't so much them getting one-on-one matchups, just getting your head kicked in. That was creativity and not knowing who was coming and not being ready for that. And that's a different thing. Not that some other team can't do that to you too. But I still want to. I think the line has been the better unit all year and even year over year for the Bills than their receiving core.
I couldn't possibly disagree with that.
So I'm going to hope. I'm going to expect that reverts to form.
Here is a counterpoint, because I am too. I'm going to hope with you. At Pittsburgh, Bengals, I don't know, maybe Hendrickson plays, but they're
If you can't handle
softy.
that team, you're close up shop.
But, you have to beat the Bengals.
Right.
3 of the next 4, at Pittsburgh, at Vrabel, at Myles Garrett. Oh, you better be right. Because if you're a team that can't, and the Bills have been so lucky. Dawkins is great. Brown has been great. Interior has been fine. They never get hurt. So you've got this run of, 50 games or more where the Bills' offensive line is not an issue?
Yeah, because even before they reformed, when Morse was still the center and McGovern was the left guard, they still, that unit played every snap.
Right. We didn't complain about this when Morse was here.
There is never an issue there's not been an issue up front. This, with Brown and Dawkins both this year, this week, and then what's happened in, Thursday and other times this year, is the first time in 3 seasons they've had any kind of a crisis up there.
Okay, so what I'm about to say, though, is, just setting it up. Their line has been super stable and very good, if not great, for a long time. What does everybody say? The continuity, they're the same unit all the time. They're healthy. It's been really nice for them to have that. If your line isn't that, nobody cares if you can get open because it doesn't matter.
Right.
If they can't hold up in pass protection, nobody cares if, name one.
Brandon Cooks.
Anybody can get open because basically you're just in, dire straits at that point.
Did somebody just now in their car go, wait, Brandon Cooks is on the Bills? They missed yesterday? I don't know. They were buried in work. They just haven't had a chance to scroll through Twitter today.
The holidays.
So anyway, wait, Brandon Cooks? Yeah, Brandon Cooks is
Elijah
on the Bills.
Moore is gone.
He is wearing the same number that Elijah Moore used to wear.
Which
Brandon
I don't
Cooks.
even know what that is.
18.
That's how much of an impact.
Yeah.
18. So, if
Yeah.
the line is more important, and it's TJ Watt, or it's Hendrickson, or it's Vrabel, or it's Myles Garrett who's going to set the sack record by the time the Bills are in Cleveland in a month. And, Philadelphia and the Jets. But the fact that they're road games, this is the biggest part of it for me, is that these games are all on the road.
Well, the Bengal game is not, but
The
yeah.
Bengals game is not.
Right.
But 3 out of 4, and Houston was, and you saw that.
And Atlanta was. And those 2 games were to me, their worst pass blocking games. Miami was also bad, but I don't feel like it was at the level. I think there was just other stuff that went wrong more than they couldn't block people.
You know what else I have a problem with?
What's that?
And if I do, then you probably do.
Uh-oh.
It's going to Pittsburgh. Because when has that ever gone well? The last time they were in Pittsburgh, they won. It was a game that was not available on my satellite service because of some dispute that I'm sure was super important, but that I watched on the Spanish channel in regular D.
Okay.
Not high def. That game, a Sunday night game here with the Steelers. Well, the last time they were here after that, they won Pittsburgh.
Right.
So this is a game the Bills won on a Sunday night against Pittsburgh.
Is this the Tre'Davious White interceptions game?
Maybe.
Does it go back that far? I'm not sure how recently.
It goes back.
How recently they've been there, but
COVID.
okay.
I mean, 19, they go to Pittsburgh, and it's Al Michaels saying Tyler Kroft, touchdown Bills. That was a high point.
That's the
highlight.
Tre'Davious with the game I'm thinking of with Trey White.
In Pittsburgh.
Yes. Right.
Okay. So when in your life have you seen the Bills beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh?
Well, that time, and then is there another time?
Frank Reich,
right. Oh,
Mitch Farrat.
It was.
I'd be way better at that game than this other one.
It's been a house of horrors for the best Bills teams we'd ever seen. Mostly, like the '90s Bills would go to Pittsburgh, and it's a Monday night, and the place is rocking, and I'm dead.
I was at one of those games.
I'm turning the game on. I'm going I just hope nobody gets hurt.
3 words: Carnell Lake.
Right.
So one pick earlier this year was when the Colts went to Pittsburgh. And what did I say? Something like, Daniel Jones is going to run through the tunnel and see all that yellow and completely crack. And I think they had 5 turnovers in that game, the Colts. That isn't the Bills. That isn't Josh Allen. But I just have not – basically all I'm saying here is I have a hang-up when it comes to Pittsburgh because, like, I sort of took my cue from you over the years when it came to this. They're one of these teams, and we're one of these teams down here. Now, that's not true anymore, and the Bills have, beaten Pittsburgh at home a few times, in the playoffs even, over the last 5-6 years. But I have a little bit of a trauma.
Yeah.
How many times have they won there? Once, twice?
There is only, I'm looking at it all time right now, and the only time in Allen's career that they played there is the game in 19 that you were thinking of with Tyler. It was a Sunday night game.
Tyler Croft.
And they won that game 17-10. The reason I keep thinking of Trey White is because I think he picked off a pass late to seal it in the end zone or something. Okay. And maybe had 2 picks in the game. I guess I could easily click on the box scores. But the last 4 times they've played, including the playoff game, the games have all been here.
Right.
So Allen only has the one experience there, and it's before they were really they made the playoffs in 19, but that was not – the next year is when they really graduated to the status that they've enjoyed for the last 5 seasons plus now.
The only question is, does that matter to you?
I guess I wasn't thinking about it at all the way the way you posed that to me.
Good for you.
Well, now I am, and so is everybody else.
Whoops.
Sorry. I was not thinking they can't win there, or they just don't win there. I thought there was another game that was making that so for me, but it's really just that one game.
Where they don't win is Houston.
That's also correct. Now, yes.
But that's over.
Right.
So that's good. I don't know. I feel like it's a normal thing, but it doesn't have to be meaningful. Because a lot of that is, of course, pre-Josh Allen, pre-Sean McDermott. But Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. It's sort of like, I don't know, how would you put it? Kind of like the bully, the big brother, something like that, over the decades with the Bills. But again, the Bills have won their share of those games at home. So we will not be on tomorrow or Friday, unfortunately, to ramp everybody up for this game. We will be on after the game, so that's good. Today, Travis Yost will join us, talking Bills and Sabres. Also, Sal Capaccio. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh, too. At the Penguins, 7 o'clock tonight, 6 o'clock pregame. Paul Hamilton will join us then. The Steelers, from Warren Sharp, have not scored more than 7 points in the first quarter in their last 61 games. Mm-hmm. Almost 4 seasons, they have not scored more than 7 points. Go for 2 once. Get this monkey off your back. At least one time, get in, and then go for 2, and maybe you get 8 out of it. And then the streak is over.
No, then it would just turn into they haven't scored more than 1 touchdown in a first quarter.
I guess there's no way to score 2 touchdowns and have it only be 7 points or less.
I don't think that's how it works.
All right. So that's something to think about, too.
So start fast, Bills.
I guess they
or not.
Shouldn't have to.
I mean, whatever. Just get up on this team and just end it early. That seems likely.
Travis Yost, Sal Capaccio, Paul Hamilton. Maybe we'll hear from you. 803-0550 is the number. It is not Football Friday, Bulldog, but it might as well be.
Well, we've got some of the trappings, some of the fixins.
We have a couple of
Football Friday fixins.
Later on, we will get into that. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's not Friday. It is the day before Thanksgiving, which is great. Always a fun day. The Sabres are on the road, unfortunately, because that would even make it better.
Right.
Many times over the years, they've hosted on this Wednesday night. We'll talk to Travis and Sal and Paul as we go through the day. Lines are open for your calls. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
Good addition. Going against him a number of times, always respected his game, his good speed, knows how to play the position. Some guys have good speed, but they're not true wide receiver. And football players, he's a combination of both. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for his game. By all accounts, from people that have been around him, some of whom are in our building already, they talk very highly of his professionalism and what he can do. And so, yeah, it's a good addition.
I guess I'll give McDermott the benefit of the doubt on having faced Brandon Cooks a number of times. I mean, New Orleans versus Carolina twice a year before McDermott got here, and then maybe once or twice with the Patriots or someone else. But it's not like I don't have like a catalog on the Bills playing against Brandon Cooks, but they probably have. I'm assuming the Panthers too.
He's been in the league 12 years. So.
He's been in the league a long time.
Yeah. Although there wouldn't be that many before McDermott got here. I mean, he gets to New Orleans in 14, and by 17, McDermott's here. So
that's 6 games.
Yeah, all right.
Up to 6 games, I guess. Bulldog found 3 games the Bills have ever won in Pittsburgh. Forgot the OJ game, 75. You probably watched it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And I was on with Matthew Collar this morning on Purple Insider talking about Thanksgiving and the Vikings. And I brought up Randy Moss, who had one of the most famous ever individual performances on Thanksgiving. And, is it the best? And I don't know if it's the best. O.J. Simpson ran for 275 yards in a game, the then single-game record for the Bills in Detroit. So what do we know? How do we grow up being taught about teams that run the ball well? You win.
Right.
Is it cause or effect? Thurman Thomas went dozens of games in his career. When he ran for 100 yards, the Bills won the game. The Bills lost to the Lions 27-14 in a game where O.J. Simpson ran for 275 yards. How?
You're going to want to get up and come over here. You're not physically it's 273.
Oh, 273?
Yeah.
But it's the year 75. Or 76.
76.
Sorry.
Yep.
Was that like you were threatening me?
I wasn't threatening you. No, I was saying this is kind of a jerk. It's 2 yards, but it's not exactly a number everyone should know. But when you said 275, my brain went 273.
Okay.
And rather than just correct you without being confident 100%, I Googled, and so it's 273. Anyway,
well, I'm sorry for the error.
But still, the run, the point holds. Whether it's 275 or 273.
How do you lose?
They ran like crazy, and I don't know. This might be the quintessential game. Wasn't there some famous Dolphin guy from those years, Kuchenberg or Manny Fernandez or one of them that is like, they weren't interested in winning. They just wanted to get their guys yards. Maybe this is that game. I mean, that's a
3 years later they hadn't learned the lesson.
I guess not.
From 73. Yeah, Jake Scott, maybe one of those guys, said that on an America's Game documentary.
Yeah.
Underdog did a cool thing. They put the NFL playoff field into the college format.
Okay.
So the college format is top 4 teams get byes. And then 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, 8-9.
Okay.
Is there any problem, before I give you the matchups, unless you already have seen them, is there any problem with the NFL format?
I don't have one. No. Should I? No, I don't. I have not liked. I didn't need 7 teams. Maybe I'll be thankful there are 7 teams this year. I mean, it could come down to that. Who knows? But I did not need 7 teams and therefore only 1 bye because of the math, needing the math. So if I were thinking, and this is never going to happen, which is one of the reasons why I would say I don't have a problem with it, because my problem is not, it's like having a problem with instant replay. It's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. They're not going to take teams out and reinstall 2 byes. And so I'm stuck with this 7. I don't need to figure it differently than it is. With that number of teams, I think I'm sort of stuck. But my least favorite thing about the reformatting of it was the addition of the 7th team and thus only 1 bye.
So 12 teams make the college playoffs. and the Bills are number 12 in the standings right now.
Okay.
They would play the 5, which is Indianapolis, and the winner would go to Philadelphia. They are the 4. And there's still, 6 weeks to go?
Yeah.
5-6 weeks to go.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting to see that. Take the conferences out of play, like hockey used to be. Now, this is way back in the, early 80s.
Early 80s,
late
because
70s.
the Sabres played the Blues in a first round
70s.
series at least one time.
Chicago,
Yeah.
St. Louis, Vancouver.
Yeah, the year they went to the Cup for the first time, they played Chicago in a first round series.
81, they played Vancouver in the best of 3.
Yeah.
Imagine 80 games, and then you have a best of 3. Silly.
Yeah.
But they took the conferences, off the screen.
They seeded 1 through 16, or was it 16 back then?
It was.
Yeah.
Out of 21.
Oh God.
So it was super tough to make it.
Five teams missed. Wow.
I wonder if Travis is coming up. I wonder if he would advocate for going back to that, because he hates the current format so much. Would he go back to 1 versus 16?
I don't know. I don't recall if he has commented on it or written about it. I've not seen it.
Okay.
It's possible he has. But no, for sure. Like that, Tampa playing Toronto or Tampa playing Florida or Colorado playing Winnipeg in a first round series, because it's the 2-3 in a stacked division, is one of his least favorite things. That and the entire existence of the NHL Network, I think, are the two things he despises most about hockey.
All right. So what's perfect? What's best, if not perfect? Is it the conference format? Is it that bad what they have?
Are we talking about hockey or football here?
Hockey. You say football is fine.
I say football. I mean, I'd like to go back to 6 teams and 2 buys. But, good luck with that. That bell's never getting unrung. So it's not perfect, but I'm living with it. I don't need to do anything like eliminate the conferences or anything like that in football. In hockey, I could listen to 1 through 8 on each side. I don't know that I need to go. I like there being an East versus West thing. There's an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference. I'd want to keep that in place for the playoffs. But if you wanted to go 1 through 8 instead of messing around with this division stuff where the top team plays the worst wild card and 2 and 3 always play, 2 and 3 always playing, it means you're guaranteed a great matchup, which you aren't in the other way, because if a top team gets knocked out, you're going to end up with lousier matchups down the road. That's part of the defense I think the NHL offers, is like, sure, the best teams are playing now, but at least we know we're going to see the best teams play one another. And with upsets, you never know. If you go 1 through 8 or even 1 through 16, you could end up with what, looked like a lousy first-round matchup in the old days, and have that be, that's your final or something, or your conference final. So I don't know that I'd want to go too far, but I would listen to 1 through 8.
What if you took this season in the NFL and went back to the previous format? 2 buys, 3, 6, 4, 5 in the first round. Right now, the Bills would be out.
Yeah, that's why I said I want to be careful about not wanting the 7, but I think the bye is so valuable, so meaningful, and not just as funny. We just talked earlier already today about the Bills on the road and their struggles on the road, and I haven't really thought about home and road that often in many, many years when it comes to football. And when it pertains to the bye, I'm very consistent on, I don't even really, it's great that you get to play at home, but the big value is the week off. And only 1 team on each side getting that, I just think in such a brutal sport where everybody's got to play sometimes more than once on 3 days rest, like the Bills have done twice this year, I just think it really sucks that only 1 team gets that week off.
Yes, it was perfect the old way.
Yeah.
Because there was a difference still between 1 and 2. One got home field.
Right, 2 was going to go to 1 if you got there.
Right. And so adding the 7th team means that 1 gets the bye and home field, and no one else gets, the claim to either thing. So, that's what you get when sports is.
Right.
And they just add teams and, whatever for money. But nobody ever needed the 7th team, and we got it. And maybe this year, like you say, the Bills will be lucky that it exists. But 1-2 up here, then the other games, wild card weekend, that was pretty good. All right. Bills and Steelers Sunday 4:25. Bills are a 3.5-point favorite in the game in Pittsburgh. We'll talk about that much more throughout the day. Travis Yost coming up. Sal Capaccio as well. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh too. That's original. 6 o'clock pregame. Paul Hamilton will join us then. The Steelers. So I talked to Andrew Filipponi today, and I don't know, they're also, maybe Chicago normally would be like this, but they're winning a little bit. The Steelers fan base seems pretty negative right now. And I think maybe so is ours, relatively speaking. I mean, just worried, if not negative.
Yeah.
Because I felt like Andrew and I were having a conversation about why the other person's team should win. He sort of, won't Josh Allen go hero ball, Superman game in this?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They really didn't block for him that well.
I think there is a fair amount of negativity on either side. I think in Pittsburgh, like we talked yesterday with Will Graves about, and then a little bit aside from that part of the conversation with him, they're just the familiarity of this. It's the best guy I can find at quarterback. Let's keep going. Let's win our 10 games. They don't have the Bills fan base is growing frustrated with how repetitive these seasons have become too. But you have, and Allen is even, there's a frustration in that they've not done enough to capitalize on Allen during the front half of his career, and that's totally valid. But you start stripping away the similarities, you get to, I've got this guy, they don't. And that's a very familiar frustration for us during the 2000s before Allen got here. I just don't. I'm always on the corner begging. I need a quarterback. Fitzpatrick, let's give him a contract. We just took everybody we could find for a ride to try to find someone who could do it. And you don't have to do that anymore. So it's a level above, but there is frustration because the Bills. They keep meeting the same fate, even with Allen. Pittsburgh doesn't even have that. They just, I'm not going anywhere. I don't have a guy that can beat any of these 3, 4, 5 kingpin quarterbacks in a playoff game. What am I even doing here? Is how I think Pittsburgh fans should feel and do feel.
I mean, we talked about it yesterday, like you said, and you could go around and around on this. I think it depends on just sort of what your attitude is as a fan and maybe your age. Because if I were a Steelers fan and I am grateful for my team's championships, but I'd just be so bored. And, you and I have a job where you want to make it interesting, and having to have conversations every year about whether Mike Tomlin should come back so we can go 9-8 again and lose by 20 points in the playoffs. I'd just be so bored with it.
Yep.
Let's just try something else. Set a new course. They have 6 titles. What are you afraid of?
Be a little proactive.
What are you afraid of?
Try something, maybe. Yeah. Whereas, on our end of things, again, I understand and respect the frustration with the outcomes here with the Bills. But I do think when you've got that guy, you've got Allen, get in the playoffs, anything can happen. Joe Flacco got hot for 3 games, and they win the Super Bowl. And Allen is 10 times the quarterback Flacco ever was. So I have a legit shot. As much as you can be frustrated with McDermott and the results and the different outcomes that were impacted by poor decisions and whatever, to me they've got a huge. It's not even a leg up. It's like they got a whole body up on the Steelers.
Oh.
You just can't touch what the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens have had here when you're just cycling through has-beens.
You put it like that. Travis Yost coming up at 4. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Happy Thanksgiving. This is WGR. I got a text yesterday on my drive home from the arena about my visor. So I had two people question me about my visor yesterday. And both, I might go as far to say are Buffalo sports icons.
Okay.
One was Pat Coletta, who we saw at the arena, and he's like, Pirates? And I'm like, well, I have a black jacket.
Right. You were just, that. My hat choices, I've got some Bison's hats, I've got some Bills hats. It's always, what else am I wearing?
So he's
which hat I'm going to wear, which color hat?
Yeah. So he's like, Pirates? And he's a Mets fan. I know from way back.
He had a Mets hat on.
He had a Mets hat, and he's a Mets fan. He's true to his team, and he's like, first thing he says to me, we're not like close friends, but he knows
just Pirates.
We've had a conversation about the Mets once. Otherwise, he would not wonder, like, whatever. Like, you see a random guy with a Pirates visor, they're probably a Pirates fan. I am not. I had a black jacket. I have a visor from every stadium I've ever been to, and I like to mix it up. So, Pirates, I tell him the story. I give my excuses, my explanation. He's like, okay. Then he starts talking about other stuff, which was great. He's always a great time, Pat.
Yeah.
Then I get a text on my drive home from none other than Eric Wood.
Wow.
And he goes, seriously, Pirates? And I'm parking in my driveway. I get upstairs. I sit on the couch. I look at this text. And I'm like, what is the problem here? Like, this is not usually a thing.
Is this because Buffalo is playing Pittsburgh tonight and Sunday, and you're repping Pittsburgh?
So I think about it, and I think that. Like, you know what? I could even read the text. Like, I hadn't thought about the fact that the Bills are playing the Steelers. But, bad job. I just wore it because I have a black jacket on.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I just meant I thought we were Reds bros. Because whatever time he was on,
right.
around the playoffs or like the Reds were pretty good.
Yeah.
Did they make the playoffs?
Yeah.
And,
they played LA, I think, and lost 2
That's right.
Yeah.
And I mentioned how you and I, our first games both were in Cincinnati as kids and the Cincinnati Reds. And I must have said something else that stuck with Eric. And he's like, no, I'm not talking about the Steelers. I just thought, Pirates, not Reds. So today.
Reds.
Today I'm not wearing a red shirt or anything. It's just like because of Eric and I felt the pressure, I'm with the Reds today. On the Twitch.
For as much as I think we have over the years liked to, this is more your area than mine. You were the one with the, hat and jersey. No, one or the other. No. Like you're not on the team. Like calm down, right? All the rules, right? The jersey rules, right? All that stuff. I think this is an area where maybe we as a show we have a blind spot because I got a ton of this when I got my Orioles hat in the summer. I've always liked that hat. I like the colors. I like the logo. And I wanted to get a hat. And I also needed a hat that had some orange in it to wear with certain golf clothes. Like, honestly, that was the thought process. Like, I like the ballpark. I've been there many times. And no, I'm not an Orioles fan. I've been a Red Sox fan. But not everybody, dozens of people that I know that know me as a Red Sox fan were mad at me. You can't do that. They're a division rival. What are you doing? Like, I like the hat. I don't know, man.
My favorite visor for fit is my Dodgers visor, but I had to retire that at least for a while
right.
during the World Series.
Right.
I think the word for this used to be metrosexual. I don't know. It's not the number one priority.
No,
for either of us.
Right. I'm about. What does the hat look like?
I like a Saints visor I have, but I look at it every time like, all right, what podcast am I going on? Am I coming in here? Purple Insider, no. WGR, no. I mean, once in a while I'll slip on the Saints visor, but otherwise, if I don't explain it,
right,
then I'm sort of repping the New Orleans Saints, which I don't care to do. It's just, I like it. That's how it should be with clothes.
I guess, but team affiliated gear aren't just clothes. It's team affiliation.
Right.
So
Right.
like that's what I'm saying. I think we both of us, I'm as guilty as you. I think have a blind spot about this.
I guess.
I'm not going to change. I mean, I'm going to wear that Orioles hat when I feel like wearing that Orioles hat, but I'm going to get grief for it and whatever. I guess I'll live with it.
You'll enjoy its content.
I don't really care that much.
Travis Yost next. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh tonight. The Bills will be there Sunday. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
The official injury report is out for the Bills, and 6 players did not practice today. Terrell Bernard, both Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, and Daquan Jones. Jones was a late addition. That is due to an illness, while Max Hairston, Josh Palmer, and Fedarian Mathis were limited. Palmer also a late addition with an ankle injury. He was not mentioned when Sean McDermott spoke with the media. For the Steelers, no Aaron Rodgers at practice today. He's dealing with his broken left wrist, though Rodgers did speak with the media afterwards. He does expect to practice tomorrow. The Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-MILLION. The Bills did also announce some roster moves. The team did sign Brandon Cooks yesterday, and with that, they released wide receiver Elijah Moore. Stay tuned for more on the Bills. Sal Capaccio will join the show in just about an hour at 5 p.m. Patriots left tackle Will Campbell's being placed on IR. He's going to be out at least 4 weeks with a knee injury. And then some news for tomorrow's Thanksgiving games. The Packers have wide receiver Matthew Golden listed as questionable when they take on Detroit. While for the Lions, it won't do anything for them tomorrow, but center Frank Ragnow is coming out of retirement, and the expectation is he'll be playing sooner rather than later. The Chiefs have ruled out guard Trey Smith and tight end Noah Gray against Dallas, and it is official. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is being activated and is expected to start tomorrow against Baltimore. Sabres game night tonight. They are at Pittsburgh, 6 p.m. pregame, a 7 p.m. start. No Josh Norris tonight. He does, though, hope to make his return this weekend. All signs are pointing to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen getting the start in net. Paul Hamilton will join the show at the top of pregame at 6 for more on tonight's matchup. But overall in the NHL, it's a very packed night. Just Edmonton and the Kings are not in action, and some of that notable games include at 7, the Red Wings host Nashville, and the Rangers are down in Raleigh versus the Hurricanes. 9:30, Montreal is out in Utah versus the Mammoth. Then 3 games at 10 to wrap up your evening. The Ducks host Vancouver, Ottawa at Las Vegas, and Dallas is in Seattle versus the Kraken. And then UB moves to 7-0 on this season following a buzzer beater from Daniel Freitag to take down Bucknell 73-71. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp
You might be mocking me or you might be staunchly agreeing with me. I can't tell.
I'm mocking you.
and the Bulldog
What is Fozzie Bear's role in this production?
on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back. Travis Yost of TSN entered our lives, and we bonded over Rasmus Ristolainen's horrendous possession numbers, and that's all we talked about for 11 years. Now I feel like I get my most Travis through, like, Bills takes. I don't want to say hot takes because I don't want to, be negative toward Travis. I love Travis, but, it's like, it's the injuries or it's just the circumstances with the Bills. There's this angst. Travis has revealed himself as a Bills fan to us, and now when his name pops up on my feed, it's about how they're not getting open.
Yeah, you're commenting way more regularly on my posts or commenting on things you heard on the show and other people's Bills-related posts than I've seen. Is this a sign of some sort of deteriorating mental health?
100%. It's also a sign I've been on the bike a lot more. And I got to be honest, one thing that I have done over the last couple of years, I kind of got sick of listening to music on my runs and biking, and I started listening more to random sports shows. And not to blow smoke, you guys are not just my favorite tandem. You're my favorite tandem on GR too. Wow. You guys do a great job. But I will say, you guys are much more optimistic about the Bills right now than I am, and I think that's saying something.
So I was talking to Matt Collar today on his podcast, Purple Insider, and we were talking about, like, just the Vikings. His show was about the Vikings and the Bills. And I basically, he used to work here, as you may know, and I said, I just don't really want to, I don't feel it, and I don't want to be heard saying that they won't get there. Because they might. Like, that's maybe in some certain way a weakness on my part to not just want to rule them out. It's very easy to do that. Lots of fans do it. And what are their odds of being right? 90%? That at one point or another, the Bills will lose and stop short of their goal. I just really don't think that it has to end that way, and therefore, I don't want to be heard writing them off. So, maybe I am still, or maybe Bulldog is too, more optimistic than you are, but I'd want you to know that there's a part of the equation that is this broadcast, that it's not. I do think like it wouldn't be right to write them off, but I mean,
it might be easier to write them off. We weren't in here talking about them 20 hours a week.
I appreciate the concern. I get it.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, I think a couple things, right? Like I always have to caution myself because I can be a little more skeptical in the wrong way than I think. I think it's good to live life optimistically. Like I do mean that glass half full type approach. But I'm hearing a lot of like I'll borrow a couple things I've heard from you boys this week. Like the Bills are dominant in December. True, right? Counterpoint. This team doesn't look anything like the teams of the last 4 or 5 years. Even when a couple of years ago, when they were 6-5 and 6-6, felt like they were on their heels to the nth degree. I felt like that team was materially better. They were a dumb mistake factory, but man, they can move the ball up and down the field. This team cannot in most scenarios. And, I kind of, you guys both know this. I went to that Texans game, and so I can see there is some recency bias here.
Yes.
But they look so slow and so old at so many positions, and this whole it's a one-player team. I think in years past, I think that was maybe a little bit unfair. Early years to Allen, maybe a little unfair to the defense, and then certainly in the early 2020s, I think Allen had decent weapons around him, but wow, does it feel true right now? It is, and I was talking to Bulldog about that. I tweeted him like 2 days ago. The part that I'm having a really hard time swallowing, because I agree, the AFC does not look very good. By the way, I think the exact same thing is true for the Eastern Conference and the Buffalo Sabres, by the way. Their competition doesn't look very good, and there are holes everywhere. And, this still is a 7-win team, but there's two things I pause on, which is they have really looked good one game this entire season against Tampa Bay. And two, going back, like when I look at this roster and I look at the talent and I say, how does this talent compare? The one thing I think I do a lot, I watch a ton of football. I got the quad box on every week. I really enjoy it. I center my Sundays around it. They are just so devoid of talent at so many positions. And that's not to be like painfully negative, but there are onesie, twosie guys at certain positions, Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, where, they're above average players at the position. There's no doubt about that. But I have tremendous, tremendous difficulty finding where the talent is across most of the defense at this point, and I get that injuries have played a big role there. The wide receiver room is a complete disaster. I think that's been talked about ad infinitum at this point. The offensive line is regressing at the absolute worst time. It was probably the most reliable thing outside of Allen. And there's too many, not even great players, just call them average to above average players that are constantly in and on and off the injury report every single week and missing games. And I will say all that in the box. I know everyone's talked about how important this game is against the Steelers. I'm genuinely worried about this game against the Steelers. I think they can lose this game against the Steelers. They have lost against far worse teams and have looked worse in many games this season in a way in years past where they would routinely outplay teams, and in those stupid losses, they were quote-unquote stupid losses. They are just losing these games this year, and I don't think that's something we've had to wrestle with for 5 years, 6 years, I think is fair.
Yeah, I think that's all. Pretty on the nose, Travis. I think you
Me
referenced in the setup of that 6-6 2 years ago, and I guess I would have to cop to this. Maybe a part of my not being able to see some of what you're describing is because when they were 6-6 and lost that overtime game to Philadelphia, that was like a breaking point for me. And I thought, I can't keep doing this with McDermott. I got to move on. And then they ran the table. And I sort of felt like I've been backing away from that for the last 2 years. And so I guess I'm reluctant to be too quick to this team is in real trouble. I'm just figuring that they'll figure it out. But you make a certain good point here.
that is a fascinating dichotomy because I think that was totally fair to be. And I think for years the skepticism around this team has really centered around the head coach. But maybe I was a little too bullish and, figuring that they could figure it out back then. And it wasn't that I was super optimistic at that moment. But I think the other side of that coin is where I'm right now, which is
the roster.
I have severe trepidation about the talent around the quarterback and on the defense in a way that I think the GM you guys have talked about this at length in a good way, but I think the GM made serious miscalculations about this roster, and coupled with this just nonstop injury bug that has plagued the defense for 3 years, which, by the way, in any one season, and I think it's true in hockey, football, whatever the case, you deal with an injury bug, you deal with cluster injuries. It's almost impossible to control. You can't really blame anyone. But when you are, by design or by happenstance, rolling out an older, routinely banged-up team, and then it happens again, and then also you're missing on these draft picks, which they're unequivocally, that has been one of the failure modes of this Bills team and where they're at right now. They have missed on way too many picks, especially in the last two drafts, maybe not this one. I look at this roster, and I just don't think it's very good. And I think I think one way or another, independent of people's perspective, whether they're optimistic or pessimistic, I think the entire hope for the rest of the year is, can the quarterback be Superman and pull everything through the tunnel? And I just, after watching that game Thursday, I mean, I get it. That hopefully is the bottom of it all. But
yeah,
that was a moment that I think you said it. I'm not panicked, but I am shook. I'm panicked. I am panicked after seeing that.
How great is this guy? Like, if we called Ross Tucker and asked him to go 30 minutes on the National Hockey League, you think he could do 3?
No, he'd tell you about taking his girls to watch the Hershey Bears. That's all. That would be the end of it.
How great is this guy? Got to pay it back to Travis Yost of TSN.
Well, I do think, I don't want to dwell too much longer on the Bills here, but I think the roster, I think Bean, and I thought this back in April when he went, nuclear with our guys in the morning. Like, he better be right, because he's putting a target on his own back. And not only has he missed on that, I mean, they're signing Brandon Cooks, and they're trying to trade for Jalen Waddle and Lord knows who else. He, I think, has made it easier for fans to look at him skeptically now. And that has not been, you couldn't be more right. It's been McDermott. 13 seconds is the flashpoint of that, and that's understandable. So it's always been McDermott, and Bean is kind of just coasted by. And I think that started changing when he opened fire on the wide receiver room in general. And now you're looking more skeptically at everything he's done, I think.
I think, I don't know if credit's the right thing. At least, again, a two-sided coin. It's clear as day to me that now the front office has recognized, we misfired here, and the wide receiver room is a clear problem. And I think that, Bean will address it at one point or another, going forward, whether the season they pull it out of the abyss or not, that this was a miscalculation. They're almost certainly going to invest into it this offseason, likely deeply. I think the most interesting thing, though, that's happened this season, it happened, I want to say 3-4 weeks ago, when, and I think you guys talked about it briefly, but when Bean, you expect him to. He's going to say this is a championship roster. I thought the most telling quote of the entire season was what Sean McDermott did not say about that in the same vein. He did not call this a championship team. He actually completely punted on the question. Mm-hmm. And you can call that job preservation. You can call it whatever you want. But if you're looking at this roster critically, I think like we all do, and say, hey, look, there's a clear talent gap here. Maybe Occam's razor is Sean McDermott also thinks that there's a clear talent gap at a lot of these positions, and those guns are going to point at each other one time. It's either coming now, it's coming in a few weeks. Hopefully they figure something out schematically and can work with the personnel that they have. But I think you're also starting to see, kind of pulling on that thread a little.
Yep.
Maybe the head coach and the GM not on the same page.
Sounds right. Travis Yost from TSN. So you slipped in a comment about the NHL's Eastern Conference. What did we find out yesterday? 16 teams separated by 9 points. The Sabres have 60 games to go. I said to Paul Hamilton, well, they haven't, blown their season. And he's like, well, he didn't really like that. But they haven't. I mean, they've got 60 games left, and they're a handful. They're a hot week out of a playoff spot. Yes, I know there are lots of teams that are also that. Are you optimistic for the Sabres here, Travis? Thompson is scoring. Dahlin is back. Norris is coming. Luukkonen is looking good. A couple of guys are surprises. Samuelsson is somebody that we didn't really like, but he's been good, I think. What does it look like to you?
Samuelson's been a little more than good. I think that's been one of the biggest surprises of the season. Sabres outscoring teams 22-13 with him on the ice this year. I mean, you get that. And I know he's going to spend some time now with Dahlin, which is definitely going to help a little bit. But you know what the fascinating thing to me is? I mean, there's a clear connection between, like, the AFC. It's like, who's really good here? And the Eastern Conference, which is probably worse, to be honest. I mean, absent, like, Carolina and a healthy New Jersey, I think when we did our season preview, actually, I said one of the biggest tailwinds the Sabres have has nothing to do with the Sabres. That breakdown in the Atlantic Division, Tampa, Boston, Toronto, and a Florida team that is still fantastic but very injured. Like, there was a clear recipe, and it has played out exactly that way, that these teams, these legacy teams that have had a vice grip on that division were going to regress. Not only have they regressed, they have regressed heavily. I mean, Toronto and Boston are just miserable watches right now in all the good ways if you're a Sabres fan. And that has kept the door open for the Sabres. And by the way, drawing more Sabres-Bills parallels, like, I think there's some argument to be a little more optimistic about the Sabres right now. Like, we've talked about this. There is talent across this lineup, but the 900-pound gorilla in the room was always, are they going to get the goaltending, right? And I think, in the season, in the preview, we were talking about, hey, could Alex Lyon be a guy? And I'm like, well, he's a guy. He's probably a jag, but you know how goalies are in the NHL, and he's actually been one of the brightest spots at the position across the entire league to start the year. Luukkonen's put together a few good games. I wouldn't be willing to put many chips on the table in that respect, but, like, as long as the goaltending can hold up, and now you've got guys coming back from injury. Sounds like Josh Norris is super close if he's coming back this weekend. Greenway coming back to the third or fourth line. Like, this is a talented roster. They lose Peterka, who's been fantastic in Utah, but they get Josh Doan, who's also been fantastic in the top six. This is a team, and they have done it for a few years now, that can play with a lot of teams at even strength. They're one of the highest-scoring teams in the league at even strength. I think one of the fascinating wrinkles to me in terms of, like, what does it look going forward for the Sabres, and can they actually drive themselves into the top three, top four in the division, is – number one, will the goaltending hold up? I think that is you can't understate how – that's a question for every team in the league, but it remains the biggest question for the Sabres by 100 miles because it's just a position they haven't invested in. They're doing it with journeymen and guys who really have been up and down, and maybe up and down as a compliment to a guy like Luukkonen at this point in his career. The second piece of it is – what is going on defensively? Because I'm having, the Sabres, perhaps more than any team in the league, will trade goals right now. They're scoring goals like crazy, top five scoring offense at even strength in the league. I think they're last or close to last in goals against at even strength. Yet they have the best penalty kill in the league, which is a disconnect that you usually don't typically see. Good defense begets good defense everywhere. Good goaltending typically begets good goaltending everywhere. Having a bottom five defense at even strength, and it looks that way. It's not just in the goals against. I mean, they can be sloppy in the defensive zone on their bad days. Coupled with a penalty kill that's given up like 4 or 5 goals per 60 minutes, I mean, which is insanely good. That's Carolina Hurricanes good. I don't know where that divergence ends up, but if they can just be an average defensive team with average goaltending, they have the offensive talent to ice a playoff roster and play in a game 83. And I know that sounds absolutely insane considering how long the playoff drought has been ongoing for the Sabres, but this is not an untalented roster, especially when you've got guys like Thompson at the top of the lineup, Tuck at the top of the lineup, Norris coming back, and you really just need to cross your fingers for the injury luck there. But this is a talented team, and if never a time before, there is just not a lot of competition in the East, and this is the opportunity. I know the Sabres are on a pretty big road trip here coming up. They've got to make some headway here. The road has been a disaster for them, both in years past and this season. Got to make some headway. Regulation losses can't be the way forward. And again, I think all the opportunity lie in front of this organization.
Yeah, I think it's 8 of the next 10 are on the road, and they only have one road win so far this year. It was an overtime game in Detroit where Thompson just went beast mode at the end of regulation and
after
in
we
overtime.
all turned the game off.
Let's one other factor that you did not mention there, Travis, is Tuck and a contract extension. The latest reporting, maybe late last week on that, I saw from Pierre LeBrun, indicated that from what he'd heard, the Sabres have not been willing to get to $10 million or above on an annual average value on a contract for Tuck, which just seems impossible to rectify. There's an argument to be made that a player at his age signing an 8-year contract at that kind of money is going to end up badly. But in the short term, the position the Sabres are in, their alternatives are what? Shop him and trade him away? I mean, close up shop. I mean, he's from Syracuse, for crying out loud. Like, watch Max Afinogenov as a kid. Like, he was the face of, we want guys who want to be here. So they need to figure that out, because that's just looming on the horizon here at some point.
Yeah, I mean, two stories here, right? Yeah, I mean, if it goes sideways the next 2-3 months, you have to move on from him, because he is a player that can corral so much at the trade deadline. But your point is totally spot on. Not only is he such a good organizational fit, not only is he a very productive two-way player, he plays very well with Tage Thompson. I mean, that first line is one of the more fun lines to watch in the league. Another line that's like 8 or 9 goals better than the opposition this year, a key reason why the Sabres have stayed afloat in the division. I think it'd be very – and by the way, like, I am the last person, I promise, the last person to say, hey, overcommit on a guy because the salary cap's going up, because I killed the Maple Leafs when they did it with the core four, because this expectation that the salary cap's always going to grow 3 to 5% every single year, I think is a canard. And as soon as it does not, you're staring down the barrel of, oh, no, we have zero cap flexibility. Look at the Edmonton Oilers are at right now, right, as one example. I think you have to swallow the pill here. And not just you can't really meet in the middle with Tuck, because he holds all the cards. Right. And he is going to get paid one way or another. And that cap flexibility argument that the Sabres should be making internally about, hey, look, if we miss here or we have to eat it on the back end, so be it, because our cap is relatively clean relative to most teams. There are plenty of teams in the league who have been dying for cap space who are going to start getting it in the next couple of years. And a guy like Tuck immediately slots into a top 6. Your point is spot on, right? On a 7 or 8 year deal, I mean, the back end of that deal is almost certainly going to be rough, but he's 29, 30. I mean, he's got 3 years of playing prime at least right now, and he fits well. He's played well. He's produced well. He's reliable in all 3 zones. I would have a very hard time, unless the Sabres completely vomit on themselves over the next 2-3 months. I think they have to find a path to getting the deal done here.
Can't rule it out, but canard is such a great word. The judge, Bulldog, and the natural, that's a canard. What does that mean? A prevarication. What does that mean? A lie. So good. Travis, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for finding time for us.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go Bills, guys.
And listening on his bike.
Right. Love it.
Love it. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. It is not Football Friday. It is not even Friday. But we do have some of the Football Friday elements still to come today. Picks. Sal with the latest on the injuries and the Steelers game. We won't have a chance to talk with you about the game until it's over. We'll be on post-game, but this is it for us. 803-0550 to weigh in. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
The Bills' official injury report for today sees 6 players not practicing. Terrell Bernard, both Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, and Daquan Jones. Jones was a late addition as he is dealing with an illness, while 3 players were limited: Max Harrison, Fedarian Mathis, and Josh Palmer. Palmer was also a late addition dealing with an ankle injury. Neither he or Jones were mentioned by Sean McDermott when he spoke with the media earlier today. For the Steelers, no Aaron Rodgers at practice. He is dealing with his broken left wrist, though Rodgers did say with the media after practice that he does expect it to take part tomorrow. And the Barnes from Injured Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. The Bills also did announce some roster moves, with the team releasing wide receiver Elijah Moore. Do stay tuned for more on the Bills. Coming up in just about a half hour, Sal Capaccio is going to join the show. Sabres are in action tonight. They are at Pittsburgh. Game time at 7, a 6 p.m. pregame. No Josh Norris in the lineup tonight. He is hoping to make his return this weekend. And then in net, all signs are pointing to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen getting the start. Paul Hamilton's going to join the show right at the start of pregame again at 6. And then UB basketball. They move to 7-0 on the season following a buzzer beater from Daniel Freitag as they take down Bucknell 73-71. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Just understanding, that back against the wall mindset, feeling like we've been in a situation like this, if not worse. We'd love to be 11-0 right now, as would everybody else in the NFL. That's why we play the game on the field, not on paper. And ultimately, again, it's our goal to go out there and win every single game, and we haven't done that. But again, every week's an opportunity to go out there and prove to ourselves that we do have what it takes.
Josh Allen, the reigning NFL MVP. Feels like another season maybe where he just has to carry this over the line. We'll see.
And maybe he will.
And maybe he will. That's right. It's come close to happening on several occasions. 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Happy Thanksgiving. Sal will join us at 5. The Sabres face the Penguins tonight in Pittsburgh. Paul Hamilton joins us to preview that game at 6. Here's David with us. Hi, David.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Good. Thanks for taking my call. So this is a little bit more of a Debbie Downer look, but just as an overall perspective of the future of the organization. So a Travis Yost segment I thought was really fascinating, and how he really brought out a lot of points that I was thinking of as a lifelong Bills fan. If you look up and down this roster, they really don't have any difference makers at multiple levels on both offense and defense. And you've got a generational talent in Josh Allen. And the front office, particularly Bean, has whiffed on way too many draft picks. And the only pathway forward, I think, is to blow this thing up a little bit and to have Bean just part ways with him. I don't think McDermott is the problem. I think, McDermott's answering of the question that said, what is your feeling about this roster? Is this a championship roster? And his response was, I love these guys in this locker room. That is not a ringing endorsement. It would be very easy for him to say, yeah, I think we have a good roster. I think we have a promising roster. He didn't say that. And I just don't, if the ultimate goal of the organization as a lifelong Bills fan, I lived through the 90s, 4 straight Super Bowls, all losses, but at least they reached the Super Bowl. And if the ultimate goal of this organization is to reach a Super Bowl and win one, this roster, as you look around the league, is not elite enough to do that. And it starts with, and it's a travesty because you have a generational talent like Josh Allen, and he has covered up for so many deficiencies on this roster for years. Ever since the 13 seconds, this roster has deteriorated. And I just don't know if Bean, in my opinion, doesn't have the answers. And he's been neglecting Josh Allen in the receiver room. And, I've been on this wide receiver train with you guys and Jeremy in the morning for years. And he refuses to address it. And way of addressing it is in the 11th hour, after the trade line, picking up Brandon Cooks, last year Amari Cooper. And it's just growing frustrating as a Bills fan as you watch other teams play. You look at their rosters, you look at them on defense and offense, and you see all these difference makers on these rosters. And you look at the Bills, and they've got these middle-of-the-road contract guys that they claim they've coached up, and now they're signing their own. And it's just growing frustrating because I know ultimately at the end of it how this is going to end up. And just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot there, and I do think it is, and it has been for a while, I think, correct to look at the roster if you wanted to look at it skeptically and ask, like, where's the Pro Bowl, where's the All-Pro? I mean, last year it was almost a badge of honor for them that Baltimore had all these guys making Pro Bowls or All-Pro teams, and the Bills had, one or none. And like it's part of the reason why Allen won the MVP, I think, to some extent, because he's not surrounded by as much. But that's a tough way to live. Yeah, I mean, I think second contract for Rousseau, second contract for Bernard. I'm still relatively optimistic about Benford, but Bernard just can't stay healthy. Rousseau, to me, is just kind of all right. I mean, he's not getting top of the market money, but they did set out to spend in the middle class a lot, and that's who they re-signed. Those guys, none of those guys were impossible to re-sign because none of them commanded top of the market contracts. Like, those are the guys you got to really work to find a way to keep, and you can't keep them all. If they're not good enough to attract the out-of-market, top-of-market contract, what are you really doing? You might just sort of be treading water. I think all of that is fair. The fact that Jordan Poyer is playing for this team again is pretty stark. The fact that they went and, I'm not here to make jokes about reaching into the past, right? But, like, Shaq Lawson is back now. We've got TJ Sanders playing on the end.
Trey White.
He can't even play tackle, and he's playing. The whole thing is, the injuries are a big part of it. Trey White is another example. Really, the exception right now, and it's only just beginning. We don't know how far Cole Bishop will climb the hierarchy of safeties in the league. He's the most promising young defender on the team. It's not even close to me. Maybe he and Deion Walker share that, because Walker, I think, shows a lot of promise too. But there's not a lot, and they've gotten old kind of all at once. Taron Johnson, Matt Milano. Yeah, it's tough. And when the only other strength this team has had, really strength, I would say, has been that offensive line. And when they start springing leaks, whether that's age or injury or some combination thereof, then you're in real trouble. Because like that is the thing that I think over the last 2 or 3 years would be able to hold up and say, yeah, but they're excellent up there. So they can run the ball, and that sort of mitigates the receiver problem. But if they can't hold up, which they have had a lot of trouble in a couple of these losses doing, the whole thing really is going to collapse. Because there are not difference-making players anywhere. I think objectively that's fair. I don't think that's unfair.
It sounds very bleak, though.
Yeah, I know.
The caller identified himself as Debbie Downer. I do want to say that, to me, not that this is anything to your point, I'm sorry. I just want to say once in a while, I like to say this once in a while. I think the difference between this Bills era and the Kelly era is the competition. Like this team has been better than the Kelly Bills. But the Kelly Bills didn't have a serious rival in the AFC. When they dared to venture into the NFC, they got buried. Like that was a regular thing. I mean, in the playoffs, in the Super Bowls, it was anyway. But this team has been more dominant than that. They just have a Chiefs problem, in the one Bengals game. So I don't know. Like we always make these big conclusions about what their failures are. I think if they didn't have to play Mahomes and Reed, they'd have made a couple by now. Maybe they wouldn't have won them, but they could have. But, that doesn't change the here and now. And, yeah, I mean, I think there'll be big questions when the season is over about perhaps not only who's on the team, but who chooses who's on the team. Like that could be what we spend a lot of our offseason on when it gets here. Or we'll have a parade.
Right, one of those two things. Or we'll do both. We'll have a parade and then
fire people.
Argue about who should be picking the players or something, probably.
Yes.
Maybe. I doubt that would happen. But
no, but I agree with most of the sentiment here, like that. Do they have difference makers beyond Allen? I mean, who are they? Where did the kicker go? Anybody given an answer on that? Like he's just is he trending in the right direction? Where did he go? I missed an extra point. Kind of a big play.
Turned out
in Houston.
Yep.
Because now I'm down 4 late and everything's different because it's not 3. So, yes. I think the draft can always be you find somebody that changes everything, even if it's a defensive player. And the Bills haven't landed that. Ironically, perhaps, given what we spend all our time on, is that has come somewhat at the expense of drafting pass catchers with their first pick each of the last 2 years before this one. And, that hasn't gone that well. But are we going to go that far off the cliff here that we're like, guys, why did they draft Keon Coleman? They could have drafted an edge rusher. Or they could have drafted an interior defensive. They could have drafted a linebacker instead of Kincaid. Maybe we'll end up there. I don't know if I want to. Sal coming up at 5. The Line.
Oh, my.
Is coming up next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Mike Schopp here with some great news from the Woodhouse Day Spa in Williamsville. Happy Thanksgiving. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Sal Capaccio at 5. Picks. Thursday, Friday, slates. It's Friday a slate. It's 1 game. 4 games. 3 tomorrow, 1 Friday. We'll pick those games. You'll love it. It'll be joyous.
And a college game, too.
And is there an Egg Bowl?
Yes.
I love the Egg Bowl. I've never watched it.
There's some good.
That's how much I love it.
Texas and A&M is also on Friday. Right, that's Friday, Zach?
7:30.
All right.
Mark it in your calendars.
There's some good big matchups. A&M's undefeated still.
You're the number 3, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. I'll have to get to work on that. Yeah. Let's go to Zach here. Hi, Zach.
Hey, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
You know, my thing with the team here, and, you know, I'm going to stand with the guys until the very end, but I feel like they're not often nailing the moves that they make. You know, every year it's like they're either too little too late or they're almost premature on things that they do. Like this year it's Cook. Last year it's Cooper. You know, you bring John Brown back. And then in the offseason, like they drag their feet all summer on the James Cook contract, which, you know, I didn't want to pay him personally, but, like, in hindsight, come on. Like, imagine if they didn't get that done. It's just like, you know, even bringing back Tre'Davious White, it's like I love seeing him in a Bills jersey, but was that really the best possible move? And, like, drafting Keon Coleman, it just seems like they're always a little behind or maybe premature on the moves they make. And I'm sure you can do this with almost any team,
yes,
you know, when you look at them underneath a microscope. But I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, when was the last time I was really excited about a move they made? Like Stephon Diggs? Like, I mean, Von Miller was great for a little bit, but I wasn't pounding the table. Like, thank God they got this guy here, you know? I don't know. I guess I'm just looking for a little – I love watching this team. It's exciting, but I want to be excited by something that they do move-wise, and I can't say that I have been in quite some time, candidly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, there's not really been the last big swing, I would say, that they took was Von Miller. And I know that blew up in their faces. But they found their way to doing that, even in a year where they said they weren't going to have a lot of time, you know, they wouldn't be busy in that market, but they signed one of the biggest contracts of that offseason. Really, yeah, this really started to take hold after they moved Diggs. And a lot of us, I think, whatever, I'll just speak for myself. I kept thinking, I remember the phrasing I was using. When does the other shoe drop? When does the corresponding move get made? And how big a shoe is it? Is it a tiny little high heel or is it like a construction work boot? It's a huge, heavy move, like Brandon Ayuk or something at the time, like a trade for a replacement number 1 receiver. And that never came. And I don't know. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago because Nate was in here one day midweek when you were away, and he had the opinion that maybe the worst thing that ever happened to them is that they got away with it last year. That they fooled themselves into thinking they did not need to have a number 1 wide receiver, and everybody eats, and that's all going to work out just fine. And it has not. Narrator, it has not worked out just fine. At least not this year. I mean, it did work well enough last year for them, but there was a lot of turnover stuff that I think played a big part in that, largely them not turning it over, which, you know, you can credit them to an extent for that, but to expect you're going to go through a year with 8 giveaways in 16 or 17, games is kind of nutty.
Did you guys enjoy my shoe out there on the Twitch? I put a shoe up. How big will the shoe be?
Oh, I see that. Why
it doesn't have, you know, spikes or anything.
No.
I could listen to a high heel, a stiletto.
Yeah.
Preferably. Time now for The Line. How about this? Presented by FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Bills are 3.5-point favorites in Pittsburgh. I have to admit, I'm not really ready for the Sunday games yet in terms of picks. I'm not. It's too early. We don't even have the first practice of the week for the teams out west. Like, I don't know where we're at with who,
whatever, anyone.
Ashton Genty. Is he playing? Like, I can't give you that. But I have to say again, like, the Bills have not been trustworthy at all by the spread. I mean, they've lost these road games outright. Weren't they favorites in all of them? Atlanta, Miami, Houston, were they favorites in all those games? Like they lost them all outright.
I believe so, yeah.
And I think I was on those other teams in each one of those cases. So I'm going to have a tough time getting to -3.5 with Pittsburgh. But it's not like the Steelers are great. And then we'll get the props, later in the week, and we'll see over under 1.5 catches for Brandon Cooks in his debut, over under 19.5 yards, just thereabouts maybe, something like that.
Yep.
Does Kincaid play? Does Coleman get a uniform? I mean, there's just a lot left to find out about. So Aaron Rodgers maybe is another interesting one.
Yep.
For this game. I mentioned with Filippone earlier a play that you've referenced many times, Jaylen Warren in the preseason blowing by Jordan Poyer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, 2 years ago, maybe 3?
2 summers ago, I think, or 3 maybe, yeah.
Because I don't think the Steelers are the worst matchup for the Bills. Like they'll play their tight ends, and they're not the fastest team, but the running backs can go, and that's Gainwell too. So hopefully, for the Bills' sake, we don't get a flashback of that.
That is 3 summers ago because that was his last year here. Then he was in Miami last year, and now this year he's back and wasn't anywhere in the summer.
So 23.
Yeah.
Well, not a great memory. It's one preseason play, not to harp on that.
No, right.
The line presented by FanDuel, an official betting partner of the NFL. Next, Sal Capaccio, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
Hey, man, Bulldog here letting you know that this Thanksgiving
players did not practice today. Terrell Bernard, both Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, and Daquan Jones. And then 3 players were limited: Max Harrison, Josh Palmer, and Fedarian Mathis. And for more on today's practice, Sal Capaccio has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And do stay tuned. Sal's going to join the show next for more on the Bills. For the Steelers, no Aaron Rodgers today at practice. He's dealing with that broken left wrist, though Rodgers did speak with the media after today and does say he expects to participate tomorrow. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. The Bills also did have some roster movement today. After signing Brandon Cooks yesterday, the team did release wide receiver Elijah Moore today. Around the rest of the NFL, Patriots left tackle Will Campbell is being placed on IR. He's going to be out at least the next 4 weeks with a knee injury. And then some injury news for the Thanksgiving games tomorrow. The Packers have wide receiver Matthew Golden as questionable when they take on Detroit, while for the Lions, it won't mean anything for tomorrow, but center Frank Ragnow is coming out of retirement. He is expected to be playing sooner rather than later. The Chiefs have ruled out guard Trey Smith and tight end Noah Gray against Dallas, and it is official. Bengals have activated quarterback Joe Burrow. He is expected to start against Baltimore. For the Sabres, they're in action tonight at Pittsburgh, 6 p.m. pregame and 7 p.m. start. No Josh Norris tonight, though he hopes to make his return this weekend, and all signs are pointing to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen getting the start in net. Paul Hamilton will join the show in about an hour at 6 when pregame gets rolling. Pack night, though, overall in the NHL. Just 2 teams not playing tonight, Edmonton and the Kings. Though some notable games tonight include at 7, the Red Wings hosting Nashville, and the Rangers are down in Raleigh versus the Hurricanes. 9:30, Montreal is out in Utah versus the Mammoth. Then 3 games at 10 to wrap up your evening. The Ducks host Vancouver, Ottawa at Las Vegas, and Dallas. They are in Seattle versus the Kraken. And then some early afternoon hoops. UB men, they move to 7-0 following a buzzer beater from Daniel Freitag as they take down Bucknell 73-71. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I just told Bulldog this, so sorry to be repetitive. Evan Abrams from the Action Network, who used to do our show on a regular basis, had this yesterday. The last time both the Lions and Cowboys on Thanksgiving won and covered was 1994. That's a Bills game. The Bills were in Detroit. Dave Craig, throwback uniforms, and they lost. It was a flea flicker. Detroit beat the Bills on Thanksgiving in 1994. Wow. That's the last time the 2 teams both won and covered. It's not that hard here. You got to beat Kansas City, I guess, but maybe that's harder than I'm sounding.
Yeah.
1994. I mean, it's every year.
Wow. I would have been cutting up highlights of that game on giant reel-to-reel tape machines that we had in the sports office at the old WBEN studios for that game. I was working. I wasn't on the air yet, but I had interned that summer and started working part-time and Sundays and game days. Part of the reason I took the internship was because I thought they're getting the Bills. They're probably going to need people. It'll be a way for me to get a foot in the door. And I was right, because I was around like, hey, we need help on game days. You want to? Sure. So these giant, the oldest looking tape recording machines you can imagine. We'd run to 2 of them running the game, and so something would happen that would need a highlight pulled out and put on a little cart, So you have the other deck rolling, and I'm quickly trying to edit this and cut it up so I have a highlight, and then I can start recording. So if something else happened in the interim, they can stop the other machine and pull the highlight off of that.
Wow.
It was
How do we live through these,
a lot of tension,
these times?
I'll tell you.
Tension.
Cut up those highlights. Yeah.
You didn't just have to push a button?
No, there were like razor blades involved.
There were. Sal Capaccio with us now. Sal, do you remember this Bills-Lions Thanksgiving game from 31 years ago? I'm sure you do.
I do. There was a flea flicker by the Lions early in the game. They scored a touchdown on.
Yes. That's incredible.
I probably cut that highlight up. I don't remember any of it, but I'm sure I was working. I know I was working.
I was not
working.
I mean,
what Bulldog's talking about, I remember being with when I first started being around football coaches and coaching, and some of the film, they would have to splice it like that, the same way.
Right.
Splice that film, right? Like you're trying to splice from play to play because you're rolling the whole thing, and that's how you'd have to splice the film up back in the day. Like that, I agree. I'm interested, though. So 94. So the last time they won and covered was 94, right? That's what you said?
Both the Cowboys and Lions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because 95, I'm looking at the history. 95, they both won. The Lions won by 6, and the Cowboys won by 12. So apparently there was more than a 6-point spread in that game for the Lions over the Vikings because they didn't cover. Or maybe the Cowboys were favored more by the Chiefs, but the Chiefs had a good year that year. So I find that interesting. But I also was wondering, when's the last time that the Lions won on Thanksgiving? Do you guys know?
Oh, well, Green Bay beat them. The Bills beat them.
Yep.
I don't know, last year. I don't remember what happened last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's been a while, I'm going to guess, by the way you asked the question.
You know what? I apologize. I missed last year. Last year they won. Before that, it was 2016.
Wow.
Last year was that Bears thing with at the end of the game with the clock with Caleb Williams, right? Where it was like, oh my God, are you? And then Matt Eberflus mismanaged the clock. That was the game last year. But before that, the Lions had lost every Thanksgiving game before that since 2016.
I'm looking at the 95 games, and they both covered. I don't know.
Okay.
so
he's wrong.
So much for our old buddy Evan Abrams.
I don't know.
That doesn't
he has
work.
some of the best betting data there is, but am I reading this wrong? Anyway, I don't know.
Maybe that was the year, though, 95. I'll give them that because they both did win that year, and they both look like they covered.
Maybe it's happened every year for the last 31 years.
Let's just blow up the first 3 minutes of this segment.
All right.
It's fine.
All right. So, Sal, let's talk about Brandon Cooks. We didn't meet up yesterday. Elijah Moore has been released, so Cooks moves in. What could happen as soon as Sunday? Does this probably need a ramp-up, or are we going to see... Is Brandon Cooks, relevant this week, maybe?
He could play. Sean McDermott did not rule out him playing. I thought it was interesting. Sean said that's basically up to Joe Brady, how much Joe Brady feels he can help the offense and be inserted in. For anybody who wonders who makes those decisions and how they go down, now, I'm sure, McDermott would have to kind of approve of it after telling him, hey, here's what I can do with him and all of that, But for Sean to say, hey, that's, up to Joe and how he believes he fits in, he did not rule out the possibility. I still find it interesting and maybe even more than interesting, fascinating of the wide receiver group, even with the Elijah Moore release, which made it at the time it happened. I'm like, man, what are they going to do here? They had 7 active wide receivers. They still have 6, and they have Gabe Davis on the practice squad, who you expect to be elevated, which gives them 7. I don't know. Maybe Curtis Samuel just doesn't play, and you can just roll with 6. That's fine if you want Brandon Cooks. So there's a lot of ways to do it now. But, what does it mean for Keon Coleman? I'd be surprised if Coleman doesn't play this week. The way that Sean talked about him today, he kind of made it known that, Thursday night was not about discipline. It was about the fact that, yes, he was disciplined on Sunday, and then they played well, and it was a short week, so they wanted the same group on Thursday. But for Sean to say that, if you go this week and he isn't on the field, he kind of puts himself in a corner, and then it's got to be much more than that, right? For saying that.
I agree with you.
I'm just trying to think about out loud how the roster looks here.
Yeah, I would think Coleman pops back in. So we'll see there. I'm just really curious what they may get from Cooks. I don't want to fault them for trying something if they consider themselves to still be in need of something that they're not getting. I wondered about Cooks right away, Sal. The first thing I thought of was how McDermott sounded about Mecole Hardman and his speed. He's very, enamored of having that factor back on, in their wide receiver core. And I don't think Cooks, a lot of what I have found, Cover One did a deep dive on all the routes he's run this year, and there's not much down the field at all. So I don't know if that's indicative of what he's capable of. But before I even knew that, yesterday my first thought was, this is Mecole Hardman without the returns. He's not returned a kick since 2016 in the league. So I don't think, or a punt. So I don't think he's a return guy. He did a little of that early his first 3 seasons in New Orleans, but not at all since. So I'd be stunned if they wanted to use him that way. But maybe it's just a guy to run the route we saw Hardman run in the first game he played, even though they didn't complete the pass to him. Just someone to clear. You're going to have to cover me, and if you take one guy with me, maybe we'll throw it to you. If we take 2, then maybe we'll find someone underneath.
Yeah, and I like what Eric at Cover One did as well, and kind of how he brought to light the slants and under routes. Little in cuts, under routes, underneath the coverage a little bit. When you talk about Brandon Cooks, you think about the speed, and he has speed, but he is 32 years old, right? I mean, how much is he really running by guys all the time? And I don't think that's why you necessarily sign him, although it helps, right? I think it's more of the route running and ability to separate earlier in the down rather than later, and getting down the field. And that's what hurt the Bills on Thursday. What hurt the Bills on Thursday was that they did not have answers earlier in the down for Josh Allen to get rid of the ball, which is why when he stands back there, he gets hit because he's looking for something to happen. I mean, the time to throw stats, right? You guys have seen it. Josh has had more time to throw this year, and on Thursday night he had a lot of time to throw. But that's not because he's sitting in the pocket.
Right. He's running around. Right.
Eating his lunch, right? That's right. He's running around buying time because nothing was available to him early. This offense, and I've said this for a while, this offense, what it lacks is someone to be able to get open early when Josh hits his 3rd or 4th or 5th step and say, bam, that guy is there. And the reason why, to me, they've struggled on the road, especially in the passing game, is because on the road it's really loud. Think communication. You're just a tick behind. It's just the way it is naturally. And, you get a play in late, let's say, maybe a little bit later. You're in the huddle. You're sticking. Everybody's close together in the huddle. You get out of the huddle. If he wants to make a check, the clock is winding down. Well, when you can't make that check and you got to stick with what you have, you better hope your guy wins, because that's not the quarterback telling you that guy's going to win. I'm changing the play over here. You got to hope your guy wins. And they don't have enough of that right now. And I think that's what a little bit they're hoping that Brandon Cooks can bring to the table.
Yeah. Well, is there any kind of a postscript on Elijah Moore's time as a Bill, Sal? Like, that was a guy you could get excited about when he got here because, 60 catches, even with lousy quarterback play, like he's got a chance to play with one of the best in the business. And, I mean, it just never got airborne, really.
Yeah, I thought Elijah did a nice job once in a while to find some zones and, to make Kansas City catch comes to mind, right? I mean, like he made a couple of those plays. I think that too many teams, the teams are playing when they play man-to-man on him. I don't think it's quite the same for him. Decent route runner, but I don't know if he did enough in that regard. And look, I mean, no matter all of that, even if you say, and I will tell you though, Thad Brown, I brought this up. I don't know if I brought this up to you guys or the other show earlier this week, but I did TV with Thad Brown and Josh Reed and those guys last week on Sunday on Channel 4. And Thad said, he actually sees Elijah Moore open more than people would realize when he was breaking down some of the All-22. And he said, hey, it's a guy that's actually made a little bit more open. Maybe you can find him. And that may be the case. But apparently, from what Ian Rappaport reported, when they signed Brandon Cooks, Elijah Moore and the Bills had a discussion because Elijah didn't feel like he was being used on the field enough. And that led to a mutual parting of the ways because obviously now you add another body to the mix. So that's where that goes.
He's open a lot. Perfect. Let's get rid of him. That's what, in some, maybe this was. Just kidding. Sal Capaccio on the Wester hotline. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Sal, are the Bills at risk of not having one or both of their starting tackles Sunday?
They are. I think it's pretty much trending that way pretty clearly for Spencer Brown. That was indicated by Sean McDermott last Friday when he met with the media, that Brown and Terrell Bernard would probably, be tough for them to go this week. So you're going to be without him most likely. I don't think there's a coincidence there that they activated the 21-day window for Tylon Grable. So will Tylon Grable be the starting right tackle? Is there enough time for that? He was the swing tackle last year. Or is it Ryan Vandermark? I mean, you could have either one. Now, McDermott was asked about Tylon Grable's availability this week. He said, we'll see. He's a young player we have confidence in, but we'll see about the turnaround and how quick it is to get him up to speed. And, up to speed meaning like conditioning and on the practice and all that and being able to get on the field. As far as Deion Dawkins is concerned, he was evaluated for a head injury during the game. He went back in. He was cleared. And then after the game, at some point, they determined he had a concussion. So maybe symptoms showed up differently. You know what I mean, guys? How,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but
it can
totally
happen.
uncommon.
It can happen.
It can happen. It can happen. That's right. So he missed today. That if he doesn't practice tomorrow, that's a pretty good indication he probably won't make it back in time. I believe you have to have 2 practices in and one with some sort of pads on. So either way, I think you got to get 2 practices in. But we'll see. Maybe Saturday can count, but it's trending towards not having him. So what does that look like? Because honestly, one of the challenges here is I'm not sure if people are familiar with how the active game day roster works and the rules, but you're really only allowed 46, but you are allowed 48, which every team does, as long as you have 8 offensive linemen active. So the Bills, their 8 every week have been Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, David Edwards, Alec Anderson, Ryan Vandermark, and Cedric Van Peren-Granger. They have a 9th. His name is Chase Lunt. He's not been active at all this year. They don't want to make him active. They just don't want to release him and have him get waived and sign with another team. Well, if you're without Spencer Brown, now you don't have 8 active. You have 7 possible. If you're without Deion Dawkins, now it's down to 6. What do you do there? In that case, you'd have to basically have both Grable active and activate Chase Lunt in order to trigger the 48-man active roster.
Well, I don't want to be dramatic, and maybe one or both will actually play, but I'm thinking of the Chargers here, who lost. The Bills' tackles are excellent, and the Chargers' tackles are excellent. They lost both guys who went to Jacksonville. They had 8 first downs. They couldn't stay on the field. They couldn't function. Yeah. So you're already seeing with their tackles healthy, Allen in a blender. All the time, and I mean that doesn't get better at Pittsburgh.
No, that's right.
Yikes!
A team with T.J. Watt and what's the other guy's name?
Highsmith,
Highbrig, right? And Highsmith too.
But he's been hurt, I think. Yeah.
Herbig. Sorry, Herbig and Highsmith.
Herbig is who you wanted.
Herbig and Highsmith, and they have 4 guys with more sacks than the Bills' most guy. Like Bosa has 4. They have 4 guys with more than 4, like on their team. They get after the quarterback. We know that. But let me say this about the offensive line and the point you just made about Josh, which is right, Mike. First of all, Ryan Vandermark has been a nice fill-in player when he's been called upon. He played against the Chiefs last year at left tackle and did a very nice job. So I think that, at least you have guys that you feel confident in enough. That being said, after the way Sean McDermott talked about Josh getting hit, like when he met with the media after the game and then on Friday, and plus knowing about what's going on with the tackles, even without that situation, I'm telling you, like, I was half expecting to see wide receivers and pass pro drills today, guys, because I think they're just going to fortify Josh Allen so much this week. Like, it's going to be like one guy I'm being exaggerating, but one guy is going out in the route and 9 guys are protecting your quarterback. I feel like that's kind of got to be the game plan a little bit here.
Wow.
I wonder how much they feel like they could win with, I know you're exaggerating to make the point.
You're right.
But with 2 or 3 guys in a pattern against this secondary, because maybe there's some business to be done there. I mean, I don't know. I would expect them to at least try to mix some of that in, considering how down they are. If they end up at Grable and Vandermark as their starting tackles against T.J. Watt and the Pittsburgh defense, I think you're going to have to find out if you can win that way. Or they're going to hand it off 50 times.
Well, that's, I think, what they do, right? I think in this game, the Pittsburgh defense has not been good against the run this year. But when they decided they wanted to be good against the run, they shut Jonathan Taylor down to less than 2 yards a carry. Like, that's what they did. Like Miami did against the Bills that day, right? It's like, we're bad against the run, but we're going to make sure you don't run. They did it against the Falcons, Miami did. We're bad against the run, but Bijan's not going to run. The Steelers' defense has not been good in a lot of different ways this year, but teams ran on them a lot early in the year. The Bengals ran for over 7 yards a carry, and then a couple weeks later, they shut Jonathan Taylor down to basically nothing. And that's because they just kind of said, we're going to make sure. So I think that would be their game plan. Make sure that you're not going to run with James Cook, but what's the Bills' game plan going to be? Hand it off to James Cook, right? And maybe we see the other running backs a little bit more involved in this game, and you don't put as much on Cook and say, we're just going to come at you in waves and use Reggie Gilliam a lot. I think Dalton Kincaid is a very, very big factor in this game. He did not practice today, by the way, but Sean did not rule him out for Sunday, meaning he said he does have a chance. We'll see where it goes. So we'll see where it goes, but the Steelers, they have given up some games to tight ends this year. Fantasy points wise, I was actually doing this on fantasy to see how it went. The Bills actually, believe it or not, by a lot, are the number one defense in the NFL as far as defending tight ends. I'm going by fantasy points. I know that's not the best way to do it.
It's
but I do
close.
think it's interesting. You're right. And so, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are like 6th worst in the league at defending tight ends when it comes to that stat.
You know, that one for me, I have friends in the industry who are into that, like hard. And I just have to admit, I always think, who did you play? And it's going to be both. I mean, it's going to be coverages, but it's also going to be like, did you face Bowers? Did you face McBride? Did you face Tyler Warren? You know, these kinds of things. But there could be something there, of course. Well, there are so many. The Steelers are all tight ends. So we'll see what happens this week.
You were on with
Immovable
Pony.
object.
You said Andrew Filipponi. You said you were on with Andrew Filipponi.
Yes.
We had him on. It's Always Game Day in Buffalo, Matt Bove and I. And he made a really interesting point. He said the Steelers, they love their tight ends so much, but they don't use them. Like, they don't throw to the middle of the field. It's kind of crazy. Like, and I don't know. I don't have the metrics on that, but I guess that's part of the frustration in Pittsburgh, which is they invested in tight ends. They have tight ends, but they don't use them in the middle of the field like they should. And you guys know Aaron Rodgers' depth of target is just super low. Like, they don't throw the ball to the outside or down the field all that much at all. When they do, it's DK Metcalf. He's dealing with an ankle injury. He didn't practice today. I mean, this game, look at the Steelers injury report. This game's going to be like war of attrition game. Aaron Rodgers, we don't know if he's going to play or not. He can't take a snap under center with his wrist right now. So either he's going to be in shotgun all game or you're going to face Mason Rudolph. Derek Harmon is out for the Steelers. Apparently he helped in the run game, but now he's going to be out for them. They're missing their left tackle, Broderick Jones. This is crazy.
Seems like a great watch. Coming up on Sunday, November sweeps.
Nance and Romo, Tracy Wolfson, number one CBS crew.
Hype it up. Not too many flags, refs. Make sure you get that right. Sal, happy Thanksgiving. We will talk again, I guess, next week.
You got it, guys. Real quick, the other thing I want to point out, field conditions will be something to watch. We'll talk about it Friday. I was talking with a couple of guys in Pittsburgh. Western PA High School Championships, 4 of those games that were played on that field last week. Pitt plays at home on Saturday. Right. Steelers Bills on Sunday on that field, which they did resod, and it will be a mix of rain and snow as of right now.
Miami at Pittsburgh, right? Miami at Pitt.
It's always
Saturday.
That's the thing. That's the thing there. That field. Yeah, that's right.
You guys have a great Thanksgiving.
You too, man.
We'll talk on Friday.
Sal, appreciate you. All right, that's Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
I mean, this is us next year, except there won't be like high school games and college games.
Right.
What's us next year in the new stadium? Grass. That's what's us next year, but they'll never use it for anything, right? Just the Bills. That's it.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think there's
Section 6 is out. So, I don't know. That's 1 week a year anyway, 1 weekend a year anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Is there going to be a U2 concert?
Why is Section 6 out?
That's what was in the news the other day. Like, that was their last year.
That was the end of that? Okay.
That was the end of that. Hopefully that's not permanent. It's just what I
guess I
what I
missed
saw.
That. Sorry, I didn't know.
NFL picks coming up. You know, Sal's right. Look at the Bills' schedule. Try to think of tight ends who've done anything against them. Some of these teams don't have tight ends. Miami, twice. Pitts didn't do anything. Dalton Schultz, Kelsey. Hunter Henry, I know I had in fantasy that night. That was like 2 catches. So Sal's got one there. Picks after the break. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh as well this week. Tonight even, 6 o'clock pregame here on WGR.
6 players not practicing. Terrell Bernard, both Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, and Daquan Jones. 3 players were also limited. Max Hairston, Josh Palmer, and Federian Mathis. And Sal Capaccio, he has more on today's practice up at our website, WGR550.com. The big news for the Steelers, no Aaron Rodgers today at practice. He is dealing with that broken left wrist, though when speaking with the media afterwards, Rodgers says he does expect to practice tomorrow. The Barnes Firm Injury Report is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. We also had some roster moves for the Bills. After signing Brandon Cooks yesterday, the team released wide receiver Elijah Moore earlier this afternoon. Over to the Sabres, pregame coming up in about a half hour at 6 for a 7 p.m. start time. They are down in Pittsburgh versus the Penguins. No Josh Norris tonight, though. He hopes to make his return this weekend. And then all signs are pointing to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen getting the start in net. And then in college hoops earlier this afternoon, UB men, they moved to 7-0 following a buzzer beater from Daniel Freitag as they take down Bucknell 73-71. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
And what if I did do it, even though I admit to nothing and never will? What does that make me? And I'm not here just defending myself, but all those pickers out there who've been caught. Each and every one of them who has to suffer the shame and humiliation because of people like you.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Are we not human? If we pick, do we not bleed?
On WGR.
I am not an animal.
Sports Radio 550.
Picks in a moment. The Friday Drive at 5 is brought to you by Northtown Hyundai, Western New York's premier Hyundai dealership. Shop online at northtownhyundai.com and by Northwest Bank for what's next. Get started at northwest.com and by Excelsior Orthopedics Express. They're all in on it. Sideline with a sprain, strain, or break, get to Excelsior Orthopedics Express. Thank goodness for these clients, or else we wouldn't do it. All right, picks.
That's right. Yeah.
What's the score?
You're continuing to lap the field, and by the field I mean me. 8.5.
Okay.
Is your lead. I went 2-3. You went 3-2. I used to keep track every week. I could go through and subtract and whatever. I used to every week put what 4-1, 2-3, 3. I haven't been doing that this year, but it feels like I haven't had. I had a 5-0 week, immaculate week a few weeks ago. I don't remember which week that was now. I think that's the only week I've been above 500 in 2 months.
Not your year.
I just not having a week 9. I was perfect.
I do not like betting Thanksgiving. I do because it's betting.
Duh.
But I don't because I'm never confident and I feel like I probably always lose. I'm ahead. I just want to get splits. Give me 2-2 tomorrow and Friday.
Right.
Here's what I want to do. In chronological order. Green Bay, yes, plus 2.5 at Detroit. Evan Abrams may or may not have had the year nailed down. The last time the Lions and Cowboys both won and covered on Thanksgiving. Still, it's probably a long time ago. And he does have a stat that I'm going to go with. The overtime narrative. Teams that play it in overtime. Didn't maybe Joe Ostrowski have something like this? And that didn't work out because that was Raiders-Broncos. Anyway, teams that play in overtime, short week, look out. Detroit and Kansas City both just played in overtime. Kansas City traveling. I'm taking Dallas, too. Green Bay, plus 2.5. Dallas, plus 3.5 against the Chiefs. Although, if, I'm on one of these silly shows that asks you to predict the exact score, I'd be like 27-24 Chiefs. Just like they figure out a one-score win for the first time. Well, last week was the first time. For the second time this season. Dallas is sort of like that. Like they'll hang with you. But I'd be a little bit. I'm picking them 3.5. I mean, I just got to get my story straight. I'd be impressed if they won the game. All right, so Packers, Cowboys. I'll take Baltimore because I always do. -7 against Cincinnati. Burrow, first game back. Maybe Jackson's a little healthier. And that can be something. No T. Higgins or Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. I mean, this is a 3-8 team, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah.
Getting 7 on the road against the, first place. Baltimore Ravens. I'll take Baltimore. I feel like they're a little bit due to just sort of roll in a game. They haven't been doing that.
All right.
And then on Friday, I kind of love the Bears. +7 at Philadelphia. I don't know. Too many of my picks tonight are references to like recent games, Thanksgiving games, when Green Bay won in Detroit, and 2 seasons ago where Philadelphia beats the Bills to go to 10-1 and then like loses out. Because the vibes are just so not good with Philadelphia. Barkley can't run it. A.J. Brown seems to just hate life. The Bears have been lucky this year. I'll take 7. All right, so those are my 4 pro games. I'll kind of be happy to split. And then because it's who I am, I'll take the Buckeyes, -10.5 at Michigan. That bet never wins either, right? They haven't beaten Michigan in a while.
What is that game doing on Thanksgiving weekend, by the way? Doesn't this feel a little late? I feel like that's usually before now, but I don't know, I might be messed up. I just feel like for many, many years, my Christmas light hanging day in advance of Thanksgiving would be the Saturday when Ohio State and Michigan are playing. I have it on the TV. I can see it through the big window on my porch, and I'm out there with the lights and doing my thing. And I don't know. It's weird to me that it's Thanksgiving Saturday, but
not sure.
Whatever. I don't. Maybe it's the exact same week, and the weeks are just whatever. I don't know.
I hate my picks this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, good.
Go against me.
I am.
All of them.
I'm not gonna take Michigan, but the NFL ones. The only one I genuinely, two of the 4 I was going to go against you anyway. I'm going to take the Bengals in the 7 because I'm not sure that Lamar Jackson is all the way healthy and can run and avoid sacks, even without Trey Hendrickson, who they should have traded 2 years ago, Cincinnati, but whatever. And I don't know, like it's only Wednesday. Jackson could get the flu or something, or just whatever.
Writer's cramp.
Just something could happen to Jackson. It seems like it's always something. So.
He's got the operation guy going.
Right.
This year.
Right.
Now it's a toe.
Right. So I'm not ready to trust them. I think they'll win the game, but I like the points, so I'll take 7. And I'm going to take the Eagles, sort of inspired by you over the years. Everyone's down on him. The narratives are all bad. Barkley's washed up. Everybody hates Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, blah, 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 blah. I think the Bears have been getting away with it. Almost every time they win, I feel like a rabbit has been pulled out of a hat. So I'll take Philly. Just, I think, a better team and maybe an opportunity for them to sort of, hey, you know what? We know how to do this. I mean, I don't know. Last week was weird how they just could not any longer move the ball on Dallas as that game went on.
I told you I saw it coming. I thought they would lose. I don't know. I just had a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Is the Bears' defense bad? They're just okay. The stats are pretty bad. Because I think that game, I had my turn, I know, but that game might be the best play caller in the league against the worst.
All right. Yeah. Maybe. I flipped the other 2 picks. I was going to take Green Bay and Dallas.
Okay.
Getting the points, but I'll take the home favorite in the early game with Detroit getting 2.5. I don't know. I don't know who's the better team there. The Packers are weird. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They'll probably win by 3, so I won't get the win. And I'll drop another game. But I did not know walking in the door today that this was going to be my last stand. We'll continue to do picks. There's games. I'm a pro. We'll play out the string. But I'm down by 8.5. And if I don't, I guess we could split them, whatever, and then we'll just hold serve.
Fine. You won't be mathematically eliminated.
No, I know, but it's just a long road. I'm going back to the Indiana well, by the way, for college. Minus 28.5. Huge rivalry game with Purdue.
The old Oaken Bucket.
There you go. That's what that is?
Yes.
All right.
Indiana-Purdue? That's the old Oaken Bucket.
The old Oaken Bucket.
I think.
I love the old Oaken Bucket.
You would.
I forgot. I have a hat that says the old Oaken Bucket. I never knew what it meant. Turns out it's an Indiana-Purdue football rivalry hat.
I have a hat that says everybody snacks.
Someone made for you.
Yes.
which is nice.
Ohio State, Indiana next week, right?
Potentially, depending on how this week goes.
Oh, that's not like a championship game?
It is not official yet.
Okay.
Oregon's still alive in there. Michigan's still alive as well in that.
Oof, stop.
I know it's sad.
I hate to hear that.
Oh, I would love the chaos of a Michigan win over Ohio State.
Oh.
It would be 5 years in a row.
No.
5 years in a row.
That would be so
I'm sick of it.
Tasty.
Why can't Ohio State and Michigan ever be normal and like take turns winning? They each have to go like a decade beating the other one, and then it flips. Come on over there. The Bears have 16 interceptions. The Jets have 0.
Do I and maybe one takeaway all year? But they have like a single fumble recovery or something. No, it's just they had no picks. Sorry, I don't mean to muddy up the waters.
They have one takeaway.
That is it. Okay, they have one fumble recovery and no picks. That's amazing. Who is the Michigan coach?
Lloyd Carr.
Sharon Moore.
Do I have a problem with him?
He was on Harbaugh's staff. He was the interim guy when Harbaugh was suspended for a little while.
All right.
He's fine.
Because I don't know how you are when you don't watch much college football, I don't think.
I don't.
Zach, I know you do. Watch a ton of it.
Curling's on usually.
I am almost always. It's like how do I feel about your coach? And Ryan Day.
Oh,
I just want to. I don't want to just hit him in the face with a shovel. I want to have shovels.
Oh no!
I want to have shovels like spade, not snow shovels. I want like the old school spade type shovels in either hand, and I want to go like whirlybird helicopter, just whacking him repeatedly with the shovels. I cannot stand Ryan Day.
Why?
His face.
Is it the beard?
The beard?
The beard does not help.
Everything about him.
Went after Lou Holtz, weirdly enough, like 2 years ago.
I'm just not.
I've done that.
I'm a big no on him, but I probably could, find ample reason to hate the Michigan guy if I spent 2 seconds thinking about it.
I think it's so easy to hate every college
coach. I just can't. It really is. Who would I least like to punch in the face? Go your team. When I sit down on a Saturday
Apparently
afternoon.
you love Indiana's coach.
I do like Indiana's coach because he's not been there long enough for me to hate him.
And he did the thing where he didn't leave. Like he decided to stay at Indiana, which everybody loves that.
Yeah.
Which enjoy that, by the way. Enjoy Bloomington for the rest of your life.
By next year, if they're a power again, I'll hate them. But for right now, Indiana, they're my darlings. Go Indiana.
Man.
Yeah, there's picks. Some picks.
There's picks, all right.
Picks for you.
The Jets have one takeaway. That's still the best. They've played 11 games.
That is incredible.
They have one takeaway. It was against Denver, which they lost to 13-11. That was the game in Europe. By the way, just for your
that's right.
For your knowledge,
right? I remember
your edification.
I remember like really wanting the Jets to find a way to get that win, and they didn't.
They had 8 first downs. There were 20 first downs in that game. Total. Denver making it work.
Get out of here, Denver.
Denver making it work. Let's get to a break. We'll have Sabres pregame coming up at 6. Buffalo at Pittsburgh tonight. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Happy Thanksgiving. This is WGR. Bulldog just got done telling me a story that'll be great at the dinner table tomorrow for the whole family.
Yeah,
how AI got something wrong.
My dad's going to love hearing about that. He's
you know what he's going to say?
He's constantly harping about AI. You kids with your AI.
Kids.
My dad has no idea about what AI is, I don't think.
No, but everybody should brace themselves tomorrow for this subject because the oldest person at your table is going to be mad at it.
Sure. I'm
and
mad.
Your kids are going to be using it.
I'm mad at it because I noticed today, knowing we were going to be, talking to Paul, hosting pregame for the Sabres game, that let's see how many games there are. Like, wow, there's a lot of games. So count them up. Oh, there's 15 games. Okay, so 30 teams are playing. Only 2 are not. Right away, I'm like, what 2? Who's not playing? Edmonton, Dallas would be a good guess because they were the only game last night. Holy cow, Edmonton. Stuart Skinner, 4 goals in the first period. Got pulled.
Allowed,
Yeah, on 8 shots. Anyway, but Edmonton was right. But I saw Dallas on the schedule. I'm like, well, Dallas is wrong. I wonder who else it is. I couldn't just look at 15 games and pick out who's missing, right? So I thought, I'm going to go ask my iPad. I'm gonna what 2 NHL teams are not playing tonight? And an answer popped up very quickly, and it said the LA Kings and the New York Rangers are the only teams not playing in the NHL tonight. The Rangers' next game is maybe Friday or something. I'm like, I don't trust this. This doesn't sound right to me. No, the Rangers are on the schedule. What the hell is that? But the Kings were the other one. So at least they got me to the Kings because I had Edmonton myself, but they made a mistake. I don't trust these computers, Mike.
No. Your dad will say something. Why didn't you just look that up? It's taking you less time. Just look it up in the first place. No, Dallas plays Seattle, and I know that because Seattle is wearing its glow-in-the-dark uniforms.
Oh, okay.
Which that could end up being on in my house. The night before Thanksgiving is a late night. There's lots of prep to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, those are her 2 favorite teams, Dallas and Seattle.
All right.
So we might end up watching some. Where is it? Is it available? Is it blacked out?
I would imagine it'll be on ESPN Plus if you are equipped with that.
Is the curling on? The curling will be over because they're in Halifax. The curling starts, the last round robin starts in 10 minutes. So that'll be over.
Yeah.
Right?
You tell me.
Big one.
I would think, though.
Tonight is big. Yeah. Today has been huge in that sport.
Yeah, you can find that. If you have ESPN Plus, it'll be on there. Stars at Kraken.
Yeah. Stars at Kraken. Throw out the record books. Chris is with us. Hello. No, Chris. Chris is not with us. I lied.
That ESPN Plus for hockey is pretty good. They have a I know a lot of your I know the streaming app that I have for my main TV watching lets you split the screen up different ways. So you can go quad box and watch ESPN Plus now for hockey, and I think they do this with college basketball too. You can just select quad box and you get 4 games on the screen and just rotate through which audio you're getting, and it's pretty good. It's a good deal.
I hate it.
Okay, sorry to bring it up.
Hockey is manic enough for there to be 4 games on the screen. It was. At least with football, everybody's constantly in the huddle. There's breaks. You can look at one and the other 3 are not moving. So hockey, though, plus the boards are always, you have that problem too, right? The boards. The ads just cycling.
Well, that's...
I'd lose. I'd never watch the sport again if I had to watch the quad box. I would. That would be it. Deal breaker. Sorry. I don't. I'm just bragging about that it's there. I don't watch it often. I'll start there and just end up on a game. Give me the curling in the quad box because there's 4 games, and also kind of moves a little bit slowly.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll take that.
And the audio is all kind of the same. It's just going to be
hard. Yeah. It's just everybody's yelling. You hear the other games anyway.
How am I doing? Is that pretty good?
It's terrible. No, I heard one of the announcers today referred to curling as a game of inches. Why wouldn't they say centimeters?
Sorry.
Is game of inches like a term in Canada? Even though they don't have inches, they have centimeters.
I don't know. I've never heard a game of centimeters.
No, me neither.
Right?
Even in Canada, it's called a game of inches, but they don't measure in inches.
Maybe they're not as married to the metric system as Europe is. I wonder what Europe says.
The draw to the button there to determine who has last rock, they use centimeters. So, having said all that, Bulldog.
Sabres pregame coming up?
Not quite yet. One more thing first. Do you know what it is?
Something about the official apple of the Buffalo Bills?
No, but you're not far off.
Okay.
It's the Drive Around the League.
Oh.
The Drive Around the League is brought to you by Mike Barney Nissan. Awesome cars, great dealership, lousy jingle. We kind of did that with picks. That was really the Drive Around the
that's
League.
what that was.
Talking about
Yep.
the 3 games tomorrow and the 1 game on Friday.
Sort of
the games of inches.
Does kind of make it sound like Picks had a sponsor.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. Picks deserve so much better.
What is the most interesting storyline in the NFL this weekend?
Most interesting storyline in the NFL this weekend?
Chiefs. Could be one step closer to the cliff.
Yeah.
6-6 if they lose. I'll go with that. And if the Bears are good enough to win in Philadelphia. I like the games tomorrow and Friday for this. The Bills are interesting too, like this. Same as the Chiefs.
Yeah, they have. I think they're 80-something to make it currently. A win gets them into the 90s. A loss only dings them down to like 70-ish, I think, Buffalo. So it's not that for Pittsburgh. There's way more like they could be like down in the 30s if they lose.
Maybe the Bills should want Baltimore to win.
Yeah.
No, sorry, backwards. Want Baltimore to lose, so that Pittsburgh, first place. The Bills have beaten Baltimore. If you lose to the Steelers, you want the Steelers to win the AFC North and the Ravens to not.
Yep, I think that's right.
Sabres pregame after sports. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. When it comes to saving on wine, spirit,